Hello there. I hope you're having a fantastic week. It's great to be here with you. This is a beautiful day here in paradise, another Friday morning, and getting ready for a busy weekend. So let's see. Let me scroll up to the top here. Welcome, everybody. And we'll get started quickly. We had some trouble today posting on Facebook for some reason. It wasn't taking my posts. So I don't know what happened there, but I guess not as many people know that we're here today. All right, let's see. JJR, you said you've met only 2 other people who were actually hydrated. Can you tell, please, us their age and if they were raw? It's been so long, I don't remember. It's a little hard to actually know because using bioimpedance technology, there are times where it won't be completely accurate. We had somebody here recently who the machine said was very well. You could see from the deep lines on his face and various other symptoms that wasn't the case. So there are times where it's going to have trouble reading somebody, and it's hard to know for sure. But usually, yeah, there aren't so many people. Good morning, Mother Stracha. Am I reading that right? Sriracha. Okay, sorry about that. Also, I watched so many interviews. I really doubt any more than 5% of your clients stick to your routine more than 6 weeks. They don't seem actually committed. I don't know what to say to that. That's a guess. We have no way of knowing. The vast majority of people don't get interviewed because people are shy and whatever. So I have no idea what the number is. And my guess is you don't either. But what difference does it make? People's level of commitment says nothing about the wisdom of the program. Right? The program works. Not everyone's willing to work it. That's certainly true. And what percentage do and don't, I have no idea. I mean, it would be a guess like yours, and there's not much point in guessing. So let's see. Is it normal for breathing through one knot at a time, or is there something wrong? Well, it is common, and I saw the comment, the response earlier to your comment. I don't remember who made it. It is common for that. Isn't how it should be. Both nostrils should be clear all the time. Most people's are not. Okay, most people are working with sinus congestion, and often they're able to breathe through one side and later through the other, as was suggested. But it should be that we're able to breathe through both nostrils all the time. They should be completely clear. They're often not, but again, that doesn't mean that's a good thing or how it should be. It's not. It's not how it should be. Okay, let me see here. All right. All right, Leslie Banks says, should I bite my nails or is it a disgusting habit? I'm going to switch to nail clippers. Well, whether something is disgusting or not, Leslie, is a matter of opinion. I don't think it's something you want to do in public. Certainly, and many people do. I would say it's definitely better to use nail clippers so that you are cutting it clean rather than having a raggedy, chewed off edge. But that's up to you. I would recommend using nail clippers. Jack Off says, good morning. I also have boogers in my nose every morning. Okay, so your body is detoxing. And if you are making less than optimal choices on an ongoing basis, it's not surprising. I mean, that's going to happen as soon as you eat anything that your body isn't so happy with. It's going to wind up creating some mucus to encapsulate and help you more rapidly eliminate things that don't belong. So these are often things that you've consumed from your diet that shouldn't be in the body. If you're doing that on a consistent basis, then yeah, you're going to have consistent mucus in your nose. No surprise there. right? That's just what happens. All right, let's see. PewDiePie says, hello, a few years ago, I got a tiny black penis head. It's like a beauty mark. Okay. Without, A, I'm not a dermatologist. B, there's not enough information there to know about that. If you're concerned about it, I would probably go see somebody who can tell you at least what it is. There's not enough information there to know. Sorry. Can't help you with that. Namaste, Gitanjali. How are you? Okay. Let's see. Engine Gumush says, hi, Loren. I wish you a beautiful day. I've been eating only raw for a week, and my body has started to show some cleansing symptoms very similar to those I had while water fasting. Is this normal? Well, it is if your body needs to detoxify. And obviously, anybody who is just coming from a different diet, you said you've been eating this way for a week, that means you were doing something else before that, and therefore there will be some detoxification necessary. So yeah, no surprise there. That as soon as you improve your diet, in fact, remember everybody, your amazing, virtually infinitely intelligent body is always attempting to cleanse and heal. And so as soon as you improve anything, you improve your diet, you make your diet simpler, easier to digest. You remove, one particular class of things, let's say animal products or some processed food. You take all the bread out, you take all the cheese out, you take all the dairy out, you take all the meat out, you take out the white sugar. You get more sleep. You get exercise if you weren't getting any, less if you were getting too much. You get a little bit of sunshine if you weren't getting those needs met. You meet your needs better in any way, and your body should be able to better cleanse and heal than it was before. So changing your diet, simplifying, optimizing your diet virtually always results in some detoxification. That is exactly what we expect to see. That's perfect. Nothing wrong there. That's the way it ought to be. That's exactly what should happen. Okay. Right. Normal's not a good thing. That's true. Normals just means typical. You're very welcome. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Gitanjali didn't understand Jerry's comment. Yeah, it's very simple. Normal means typical. It means average. So it's true that being unable to breathe through both nostrils at the same time may be normal. People having sinus congestion, having trouble breathing is normal, but that doesn't mean it's really okay. Okay, being normal is typical. Well, the normal people die of cancer, heart disease, or stroke. So we don't want to be normal. We want to be much better than normal. Okay, we don't ever need to be sick. We don't ever have to have these kinds of challenges, even though most people do on an ongoing basis. All right, we've got a couple super chats here. Stephanie Palache, good morning to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the contribution, $4.99. Neil Brown has made a $10 contribution and says, good morning. My blood pressure is 106/65. Is that a good spread? I'm curious. So I'll share with you how I calculate what a good spread is. Okay, at 120, I want to see a 50-point spread. All right, for every 3 points movement in pressure, there should be a 1 point movement in spread. And what that means is that at, what was it, 106/65. 106/65. Change my monitor a little bit. 106/65. So your spread ideally should be 45 points, and yours is 41 points. So you're within 10% of what's optimal at that range. Again, this is strictly 100% my belief. Medicine says 40 points is always fine. That makes no sense to me. I have like thousands of data points now because we take everyone's numbers every day. Lost data when we moved from Panama 9 years ago, but we still have thousands of data points since then. And We see the evidence that what I'm telling you is accurate. So yours is pretty good, Neil. It could be a little better, but it's not bad. Okay, it could be a little higher, but it's pretty good. Okay, I hope that helps you. You're very welcome, Gitanjali. I'm not sure if you're thanking me or somebody else, but you're very welcome. So those are all the comments and questions we have at this point. Feel free to post if you have anything else you would like to ask. Feel free to make a super chat donation if you feel called to do so. If you are listening in or watching from a place either where you can't do that, or you're watching a recording, you can only do super chats while the event is live. We now have set up a Patreon account, so you can go to patreon.com, search for my name, Loren Lockman, and if you feel called, feel moved to make a contribution, you can do it there anytime. Okay, you have that other option now. You're very, very welcome. Yeah, potentially, you're very welcome. Okay, so let's see. What else can I share with you? I had talked about maybe doing another broadcast this past week. The week turned out to be way too busy for that to happen. I'm just thinking out loud. It might be possible to do that this coming week, but I don't know. I have some travel coming up. It's so busy around here. It's a little crazy. When we're closed, we take all of our staff. We do a staff outing times a year. Now we're about to change our schedule. We're about to go to a 10 weeks open, 5 weeks closed schedule. So it's going to wind up, it's still going to be like 3.5 times a year. We're going to wind up being open a little bit more than we were before. Maybe we'll keep doing the same thing after every session. That's what we normally do. This time we're going to Nosara, which is a beautiful beach about 1.5 hours from here. So we've rented a bus. The bus will come and pick everybody up on Tuesday morning. I won't go with the group because I have calls to make. They'll leave before I do. I'll finish my calls and then I'll meet them there. I'll go by car, maybe with 1 or 2 other people who will stay behind and get some work done. We'll spend the day there. I'll be heading from there to the airport because I need to actually go to the US to take care of some business there. So we'll see. I mean, it may well be that while I'm there, I'll have a little bit more time because I'll have a little bit, maybe a few fewer distractions not being here, not having the staff here. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'll keep you posted about that. I was going to do, and sometime soon do want to do another broadcast specifically about Las Cascadas, where we are, what's happening, your opportunities there. So we'll have to see. In the meantime, I've got some more comments here. Eric asks, why do animals fatten more on the same food cooked versus raw if both have the same calories? Because calories aren't calories. This is evidence that calories, people say calories are calories. They're not. It depends on what those calories come from. It's actually absolutely true. If you take the same food and cook it, animals, and that's why they feed animals cooked food. Okay, in nature, animals all eat raw food, but farmed animals feed. And the reason why, there may be a couple reasons why. It may well be that it's easier, less expensive to process it and concentrate it instead of trying to ship, tons of fresh food, which also has a very short shelf life. That's the other big issue. This is an easier way to do it. But I suspect it's more profitable, it's more lucrative. Again, it has a long shelf life. They can manufacture a ton of it and stick it on a shelf somewhere, forever probably. And it's still just as good as it always was, which isn't very good, but it's not going to lose much. But the specific answer to your question, Eric, I don't know that anyone can actually say, but there's no question animals fatten more on cooked food, and so do people. And it's because the same number of calories cooked is different than that number of calories raw. And it could have to do with the fact that the feed is concentrated. Maybe the calories are concentrated. I don't know. Of course, they want to fatten the animals. That's all they care about. They don't care if they're healthy. They don't care, the fact is that most farmed animals are sickly, and this is not something anybody should ever be eating. But yeah, it's a good question. All right, we have another super chat here. Brenda Lee. Oh, Brenda, I'm so sorry. You just reminded me that I owe you a message, a response. Brenda says, good morning, Loren. I have some fruit seeds I'd like to send to you. What's the best way to get them to you? Mailing address, after checking to see if you happened upon my email. Also checking to see. I did happen upon your email. I have been so crazy busy. The last 2 days I've been in an event all day long. I've got it again today from 11 until 9 o'clock at night, and again tomorrow as well. So it's just been a super busy time for me. I do owe you the email, and I want to get back to you as quickly as I can. As far as the seeds are concerned, probably the best way. If there's many of them, then mailing may not be a good option, because if it's a large box, customs will stop it, and then we'll have to go, and someone has to drive all the way over to Punta Arenas, which is kind of a pain in the neck. It might be easier to send them to me in the U.S. I'll be there next week. If you can get them to me quickly enough, that would make sense. Maybe we can communicate offline here, and I'll get you the address. I'll be there from Wednesday night until the following Monday. So there's still 10 days or so before I leave there for them to arrive. So if you can get them there in a week or so, that should work. Okay? And I'll get back. I'll try to do my best to respond to your email today. If you don't hear from me, feel free to message me again. And if you like, maybe we can set up a time. Okay? Glad to hear from you. Thank you so much for the contribution. It's very kind. $13.99 Canadian. It's very generous. And I would love to talk with you. And hope all's well with you guys. Okay? There's another super chat here. Hey there, it's Gemma. Gemma, who I just spoke to last week. Gemma says, Gemma, first of all, has made a $6.99 Canadian contribution. Thank you, Gemma. And says, hey, Loren, my dad is now home, and I'm literally preparing a whole presentation about Las Cascadas. I'll let you know how it goes soon. Thank you. You are very welcome. Remember, I would be very happy to have a conversation if that would be helpful. I apologize for the noise in the background. Those of you who've been here will be excited to know. It's not a big deal, but it's kind of cool. We are installing a ceiling in here. What often happens here in the tropics is we don't have to worry about insulation, things like that. So you build a simple structure with a wood frame, you put metal roofing on it, you're done. Here we had radiant heat barrier underneath that, but it wasn't particularly pretty, and it always kind of drove me crazy because this is our main sitting area, and we have this. Most people probably never notice. These kinds of things I notice. So we are installing a ceiling which is made of look like bamboo. It's a type of a cane, and they're pounding hard. It looks like a cane, but it's actually a type of bamboo. And so they're installing that. I have all the doors closed between here and there, but it's loud because it's the same building. Just on the other side of my bedroom here is where they're working right now. I'm sorry about that. I don't really know what I can do about that. Let me know if it's super distracting, problematic. We can always end this and just pick up another time. They'll be done this project in the next couple days, so this won't happen again. In fact, I won't be here next week, so I won't be here next week. I will be live next week, but I'll do that from the U.S. and it should be. Hopefully the Wi-Fi will be good where I'm going to be, but it will be quieter anyway. Okay. So Diane, hello Diane. Diane is an old friend. Some of you, if you've been around, you know that because she shows up regularly. Hello Diane, good to see you. Diane's made a $20 contribution and has asked this question: do you feel that a woman who is breastfeeding can safely jump into eating fruit and tender greens without detoxing and creating a problem for the baby? What if her diet was horrible before starting? Okay, it's a great question. It's a question that I've answered before. I mean, this is something I talk about from time to time because I think it's super important. First of all, Diane has already. It's not safe for a woman who is pregnant or breastfeeding to water fast. Okay, fasting is not a good idea because the detoxification will be too rapid and will negatively impact the baby. And so she knows that and didn't even ask about that. But I just wanted to make sure in my answer that was said first of all. So that, we're starting from the point that we understand that detoxing too fast is harmful to the baby. Therefore, would it be problematic for that woman who is maybe eating a standard diet to start eating optimally? Is that going to be too rapid a detoxification? So that's a great question. I believe, my opinion is she would always be better off optimizing her diet immediately, as soon as she possibly can, because whatever she's eating is affecting the baby. Okay, so the baby in utero. So if she continues eating that poor quality diet, that's affecting the baby. The baby is becoming toxic as a result of the toxins in mother's food. Okay, and so she doesn't want to keep doing that. That's not a good idea. It would be far better off for her to optimize her diet immediately, even though there will be some initial detoxification. It's far different than fasting. Remember, we literally had people who have been 22 years on an optimal diet come and fast 21 days and see massive detoxification and improvements to their health after 22 years eating optimally. So the rate at which one detoxifies while fasting is literally hundreds, if not thousands of times faster than happens while eating optimally. Okay, so my opinion is that eating optimally, although there's some significant detoxification going on, it's not a problem. It's always going to be, it's so important to detoxify the body that even though there's a little bit, some detoxification happening, it's not so fast that it's going to actually harm the baby, where fasting would harm the baby. So regardless of how bad her diet is, the sooner the mother can optimize her diet, the better off both she and her baby will be. Okay, when that baby is born, the quality of mother's milk is going to be based on the quality of her diet, among other things, right? So, the sooner she improves her diet, the better off the baby is going to be. Okay, I hope that's clear. There may be, you may have a different opinion, there may be other interpretations here, but to me, it's really clear that you want to improve that diet as soon as you possibly can. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Let me jump down. We've got two more super chats here. First, we have Ian 444444 with a 10-pound contribution from the UK. And Ian says, love the Instavids of you at the beaches recently. Well-deserved relaxation. On a similar non-eating theme, how's the light pollution of Tanglewood on a clear night? Can you see the Milky Way? So I'm not much of an astronomer. I don't really know. I'm embarrassed to tell you I don't really know what the answer to that question is. Let me say this, Ian. First of all, thank you for your comments. When we're closed, I do have the luxury of being able to get away for a day at a time or so. And so twice in the last 2 weeks, since we've had our last clients leave, I've been able to get to the beach and spend 4, 5, 6 hours there. Actually, the first time was only a couple hours because it started raining. I didn't get there till late in the afternoon, early in the afternoon, but it started raining in the Last week, we spent the whole day. I took my team of volunteers there, and we spent the whole day there. We met one of our clients we ran into, a man who completed his process here, went and spent some time, is spending 3 months more or so here in Costa Rica, and just happened to be in town. We ran into him. He was excited to see us. He spent the whole day with us, several hours, shared a meal with us on the beach, and is just on fire, feeling and functioning amazingly well, living the choices that I recommend, really doing, exceptionally well. In terms of the night sky here, there's no light pollution. It's dark here. There many people have come and said, wow, like I've never seen so many stars. Now, I have been in darker places. I was in central Finland many years ago. This would have been probably close to 20 years ago, and was several hundred kilometers north of Helsinki, in a place on a big farm, and there was no lights anywhere to be seen. And I was staying in a house that the farmers, the farm was being farmed by a man in his mid-40s, I think around 40 maybe. It had been in his family for something like 12 generations. That goes back a long time. His great-great-grandfather was born in the house that we slept in. He had his own home, the farmer, but the house that we stayed in, I was there with a woman, we stayed in a house that his great-great-grandfather was born in. The ceilings were just over my head. I had to duck to get under the doorways because people were much smaller back then. And there was no bathroom in the house. There was no running water. So at around midnight, we went to bed around 10 o'clock. We'd eaten late that night. And I got up to pee at around midnight. And I went outside, and it was cold. It was August, and it was cold out there. But I stood there for 10 minutes, just blown away by the number of stars. It's not quite as dark here as it was there most of the time, but it's pretty astonishing how many stars you see. So the answer is, you can probably see the Milky Way, and if I knew where to look for it, I'd tell you, but I don't know where to look for it. We don't see a lot of sky because we're in the jungle. We have a lot of trees around us, so we can basically find an open area and look up. And so, we're not going to have a wide expanse of sky to see. I mean, if you go to a high enough point, you could. We have places like that, but most of the time when I'm on the ground here, I'm surrounded by trees, so I can see what's overhead, and that's why I don't really know. But when you look straight up, the stars are amazing here, amazing. Okay, we have a $25 contribution by M. Will. M. Will, thank you so much. With a comment here, greetings from Southern California. Watching, this is a nice way to start the weekend. Thank you. You are so welcome. I am really, really glad to be able to do this. I've lost track, but I think, I started, some of you may not know this, I started out doing Facebook Lives, and then for some reason wound up with an issue where I couldn't go live on Facebook. It just stopped working for me. I never figured out how to make it happen again. I kept having these technical issues, and I thought, after a couple weeks, I thought, all right, you know what? I'm going to try YouTube. And it turns out that it's better. I mean, most of the time, we have more people here. I see there's 47 of you here right now. We usually have about twice that many people here. And we never would get this many people when I was live on Facebook alone. It would normally be less than this. So YouTube has been great for this. Anyway, I'm super. I think it's been 4 years now or more that I've gone live pretty much every week. The exceptions, sometimes when I'm traveling, if I'm far enough away from here, that the timing just doesn't work. For instance, if I'm in Europe or Israel, then it winds up being middle of the day when it would be 9 o'clock here. And it's difficult to do. Middle of the afternoon, sometimes in the middle of other things. And so it sometimes is hard to get away and do this. But I do it whenever I can. So thank you so much for the gratitude and the contribution. I am really touched and very appreciative. Diane has made another $20 contribution. Ligon, and said, how would you address someone having concerns about getting enough iodine in the diet or having a low result for iodine in a blood test? I've seen people badly hurt themselves by taking iodine supplements at times. Yeah, I mean, iodine, first of all, let's be clear about this. We need tiny, tiny amounts of iodine, trace amounts. And iodine, if you take too much of it, it's toxic to the body. And so, as Diana is suggesting, many people have actually hurt themselves by taking supplements. So unfortunately, there's someone out there who's been encouraging people to do this, that this is like making it like this is a huge problem. So first of all, if you're concerned about it, the first step would be to get a blood test and see where you are in the range. Second of all, I would take a look and see if there's actually any symptoms or not. I wouldn't be so concerned about it if my blood test was on the low side, but I had no symptoms whatsoever. I have not tested myself for iodine, but and I don't live in the U.S. now for a long time, so coming up on 16 years. I'm eating food which is freshly picked, mostly from trees, as well as things like lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers. Most of what I eat come from trees. Trees' roots have access to nutrients deeper in the soil, and in here it's unlikely to be a problem because we're in a place where there hasn't been the kind of intensive farming that you see in North America, using grains, etc., where you wind up losing most of the nutrients from the soil. It's different with tree fruits. But even in North America, with the exception of the Midwest, of the grain belt in the Midwest, what they found when testing wild animals around the country who also need iodine, what they find is that most of them were perfectly fine. That animals eating food from nature are not deficient in iodine, which leads me to believe that chances are very good we're not going to be deficient either. And that's what I found for myself and many of my clients, is we don't seem to have a problem at all. Okay, it's just not an issue. So, someone concerned, I would say get tested. If you really believe you need to take something, then what I would probably do is I would look for foods that are higher in iodine, including, maybe adding in some seaweed and things like that I normally don't eat much of and don't think are ideal. But this would be a way to get more iodine into the diet naturally. It's always best to get the nutrients we need from whole foods. Okay, that's always the way to do it. Taking supplements always creates the potential for problems, including the toxicity issue. Okay, but aside from that, when we take an isolated nutrient, we wind up risking creating an imbalance in the body. And there are now multiple studies that show that taking supplements leads to higher rates of disease, not lower rates as many people would assume. Okay, so you want to be super, super careful about this. I personally don't take any supplements, haven't taken a supplement now in like 28 years. And I mean, I don't have any need to. Everything I need I'm getting from my food, and that's always going to be the way to do it. If I had a particular concern, if I was concerned about getting enough potassium, I'd be focused on high potassium foods. As it happens, most of what we eat has a lot of potassium in it. Papayas, watermelons, what else? I think cantaloupes are reasonably high. Bananas, obviously. Avocados. These are all staple foods here, and they all have a fair amount of potassium. So that's not something I'm likely to ever have to worry about. But whatever it is, if I had a particular nutrient issue, I'd focus. If I have someone who's low in sodium or chloride, for instance, we might use celery where I don't normally use celery or recommend it. It is relatively high in sodium and chloride for someone who needs either one of those two electrolytes. Okay? All right. Engine Gamouche has made a €10.99 contribution. Said, hi again, Loren. I'm planning a 7-day water fast. What health numbers should I monitor, and how to know when to stop water fasting just to stay on the safe side? Thanks a lot for your efforts. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for your contribution and your question. Here, I'll explain the dilemma. First of all, I'll tell you what we monitor here. Okay, so here we monitor blood pressure, pulse. The spread you hear me talking about is the difference between systolic and diastolic pressure. So when you have your blood pressure, that's a fairly easy number to get. You subtract one from the other. Pulse, as I mentioned, temperature, weight. Here we also monitor the amount of water in the body. Excuse me. We monitor body fat, muscle mass. We use a pulse oximeter to measure, monitor the amount of oxygen in the bloodstream. We monitor blood sugar. And am I forgetting anything? And then we calculate, I mentioned muscle mass, we measure muscle mass, and then we calculate what your lean hydration is. So how well hydrated are you? Because the amount of water in the body is actually different from that. Now, so you can monitor all those things if you have the right tools to do so. But the problem is, if you don't know what those numbers mean, monitoring them doesn't really help you. You know, most doctors that monitor people's fasts, I mean, let me give you an example of this. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I've done 3 lecture tours in Israel. Some of you are aware of the fact I dated an Israeli woman for a few years. She organized tours for me. We're not together. We haven't been together since after the first tour, but she continued to help me out and organize events for me there. And I think it was on that first tour, I met a guy who said to me that he worked for a man who supervised fasts. And so he had some experience around fasting. And he said to me, his question was, what percentage of your clients' fast do you have to stop because of low blood sugar? And I said, we've never stopped a fast for low blood sugar. Why? He said, we've stopped half of them. 50% of our fast we have to stop because their blood sugar is too low. I said, you guys are doing something wrong. Okay, there's no way that should need to be the case. And I know this for a fact. It's not just me. I've known many other people. My mentors were people who supervise fasts. And you know, this isn't something they ran into on a regular basis. Dr. Esser, who passed away several years ago, this was something that would happen almost never. Alec Burton, who passed away a couple of years ago in Sydney, Australia, was a good friend. This almost never happened. I will actually be spending time, I hope, next weekend with a friend who used to supervise fast at one of my largest competitors. I'll be in his neck of the woods. And we've talked about this before. Almost never happens. Okay. In fact, I hope to see somebody else while I'm in Florida who also has experience supervising fast. And I guarantee he would say the same thing. This is a guy I haven't seen in 20 years. No, closer to 30 years. So I'm not sure if he'll remember me or not, but I'm going to see if I can reach out to him. In any case, this isn't something that normally happens. But someone who's monitoring their own numbers or having them monitored by an excellent MD, they're going to end their fast because they don't understand what the significance of the number is. Okay, and that's the thing. I mean, honestly, you know, fasting for a week, you don't have to worry too much. It's pretty hard to get yourself into too much trouble in 1 week. Almost anyone can fast for a week. Fasting without guidance for that long, you know, I mean, you can't hurt yourself too much in a week, and that's really the bottom line. It's not like it's a good idea. It's just that there's a limit to how much damage you can do. Okay, my recommendation is always to fast with experienced guidance. I mean, honestly, if you can take the time, you would see so much more benefit. But, you know, if you can fast for 2 or 3 weeks, it would be a lot more powerful and beneficial. But that should only ever be done with experienced guidance. And the key would be to have someone who really understands this process, not a doctor, but someone who actually understands the fasting process, guiding you through the process, explaining what those numbers mean and their significance, so you know that you're safe and you know, okay to continue. That's the issue. Okay. So, I mean, those are all the things we monitor, but I have people all the time who say to me, "Oh, I'm monitoring my blood pressure." I'm like, "Great. What do the numbers mean?" "I don't know." Well, what's the point of monitoring it if you don't know what they mean? Right? I mean, you monitor something so that you can get information that you can use. If you don't know what the numbers mean, it's not going to help you very much. I mean, it probably makes sense to record them anyway, and then after the fact, someone can tell you what they mean, but it's not going to help you during the process. Okay? So, I realize we've got people here from all over the world, and I realize that for some people, even a week with me, which is 500 US, that might be out of your price range. I understand, out of your budget. I understand completely. Everyone's in a different situation. I would say, because we get people here all the time, both here and online, who work with me, who really don't have the funds, but find a way to make it happen, that if it's important enough to you, I mean, I would encourage everyone here, you want to take your health and vitality to the highest level possible, fast 21 days with guidance. It will blow you away. It's incredible what happens. We see amazing things all the time. It's life-changing for most people. Okay? It's life-changing for most people. Of course, afterward, you want to continue to make the best choices you can. But my recommendation would be to do a longer fast, but only with guidance. Okay? I see we still have a few minutes. I've got a call 10 o'clock, and I'll need to pee before that. But let's move on. I hope that helps you. Engine, thanks so much again for the contribution. Lex Smest says, "Hi, Lawrence. Tom, been almost a year since I fasted with you. I'm doing great. Thanks again. Been eating a lot of orange-colored fruit and developed orange tint to my skin. Should I be concerned?" No, you probably don't need to be concerned, but you might want to back off the orange-colored fruits and vegetables a little bit, because when your skin turns orange, what this is telling us is that your body is having trouble processing out all the carotenes that you're consuming the way it normally would. And so it's pushing them through the skin. And so you're not in danger, but it means that you're probably getting more carotenes than you need. And it might be that you would benefit more by consuming a wider variety of fruit and vegetable colors, right? So each color gives us each orange fruits, yellow fruits, red fruits, blue, green. Each one gives us different phytonutrients, okay, that provide the color. And so if you're focusing on one, concentrating on only one, and therefore develop orange skin, you might be better off having more of a mixture. So you're getting some red, some orange, some yellow, some purple, some green, more of a range, okay? But no, you don't really have to worry about the orange tint to the skin. That's almost certainly not going to be a problem for you, okay? All right, before I continue, again, I want to thank everybody here. We're almost out of time. A couple of quick things. If this has been useful to you, if you're enjoying this and you think this is helpful and valuable, please give it a thumbs up. You can do that. You can also feel free to share the recording as soon as we're done. YouTube generates a recording. You can share the link now, actually, and people can see the live. And then once it's finished, the recording will be available for anyone to watch. I want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to thank those of you especially who are making contributions. It's really kind and very helpful. We have some big plans and goals, and we're trying to create this nature preserve. It's going to be owned by a nonprofit foundation, but we still need to raise the money to make this happen. Your support here is helping, because everything we can is going to make this happen. And for those people, if you are listening in from someplace where you can't do a super chat, you can also go to Patreon, where we now have a Patreon account, and make a contribution there. Also, if you're listening after this is over, if it's no longer live, you can't do a super chat, but you can also always go to Patreon if you choose to. Okay. Tom, I hope that helps. It's good to see you here. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. We'd love to see you again. By the way, that reminds me, we are still offering, it's about to come to an end, a 20% discount for those people who've paid in full for their next fast, for their future fast. It doesn't matter when you're planning on coming. You have up to 2 years to get here. Should there be additional lockdowns where travel is impossible, we'll add that to the 2 years. So if you purchase now, it's 2 years. If it turns out there's 6 months where you can't travel, you've got 30 months to get here, and you can save 20%. That's a fair amount. If you're here for 5 weeks is the average stay, that's $44.95. You're going to save $900 if you pay in advance, and you're going to help us make this nature preserve possible. We're in a process right now. We've got 2 months to raise quite a bit of money, and we're going to need your support to do that. So this is a way you can help us. You can save quite a bit of money by pre-purchasing your future stay, and you can help us gather the funds we need to secure this land so we can create this nature preserve and protect this land in perpetuity. That's the idea. Okay, that's what we're trying to do here. All right, we have another contribution here from Alexis De Prato. Alexis has made a €549 contribution and says, hello, Loren, UK vaccine is coming soon to France. It's gene therapy and it will be mandatory. Is it dangerous? How to avoid it? Yes, these mandatory vaccines are coming everywhere. The initial information from the studies on these vaccines is not promising. The majority of people are having significant adverse reactions. One of the first volunteers died shortly after being vaccinated. I just realized the last time I talked about this, 2 hours after we were done, the live broadcast disappeared. So this is a bit problematic because they are monitoring and censoring quite a bit these days. So anything that alters your DNA, which is what this is, an RNA vaccine, it's something you definitely want to avoid if you possibly can. Okay. I'm not really sure what else I can say, and I don't want to have this taken down, which is what happened last time, having the same conversation. So I'm not sure there's much more I can say. Feel free to write to me, Alexis, info@tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com. For anyone's benefit, personally, let me just say this. I haven't taken one of these V's in 35 years or more. Have no intention of taking one again. I would definitely avoid this if possible. This is going to alter your DNA, and that's not a positive thing. Okay, I'm sorry, I wish I could say more. I don't know what else, but feel free to write to me and we can discuss it in more detail if there's any need to. There's no more super chats. Let me scroll back up here. I'm just scanning quickly. Hello, Sheer. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Eva, nice to see you. Jonas, good to see you. What's the most effective way to relieve constipation? Eat correctly. The most effective way, fasting ultimately is going to allow your body to remove all of the old material. But if you're constipated right now, the thing to do would be to eat a high water content diet. Eat watermelons, papayas. You can eat salads, but that's it, nothing else. Keep your meals as simple as you can. Sip plenty of water because the old material that's stuck needs more water to be hydrated to be able to move out of your system. Okay, those are the things that I would do. You can exercise, running, jumping, like doing jumping jacks or jumping on a trampoline will help as well. But ultimately, you're going to need to hydrate the stuff that's stuck in your system. Okay, it doesn't move because of a lack of water and fiber. So what I would do is I would add, high water, high fiber content foods and sip only, like this. Plenty of water. Okay, you drink quickly, you pee it out. You sip it slowly, you're actually going to be able to use it to hydrate whatever you need to. And that's what needs to happen, is to get that stuff hydrated. Okay, I hope that helps. I don't remember where we left off. Roxanne, what a life. I'm from Texas. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, but yeah, I can't comment because I'm not sure what you're referring to. Feel free to say more about that if you'd like to. Stephanie says, hi, Loren, are you going to be at the Tanglewood for Kate's retreat? I know you said you'll be in the USA on Friday, the day before. Just curious. I will be there for most of the retreat. Actually, I will be flying back on Monday. But because I'll arrive on Monday evening late, I have calls early in the morning on every day. And so I will spend the night near the airport and will make my calls and will arrive back to here on Tuesday. So I'll be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll miss the first couple days of the event. I'll be speaking at the event later in the week. By the way, we still have a few spaces. If anyone's interested, we have an amazing retreat, yoga retreat happening starting next Saturday, not tomorrow, a week from tomorrow, Saturday the 12th. That will go for a week. It's $12.50. There are still some spaces. Should be an amazing event. And if you're interested, you can register now and get that space reserved. Okay, let's see. So I don't know, again, where I was, if I missed anything else. I'm glad you can still hear me, Brenda. Thank you. I guess it's just me. Right now, it sounds like they took their coffee break. I hope that's what did. There's no pounding. It's been loud. And it's what needs to happen. They did the part over there earlier, and now they're working on the part right outside of my bedroom on the other side of the wall there. So not here, but the next room over. But anyway, it's loud. Okay, so I'm not sure if there were any other questions here, Jonas, regarding cooked food. It seems to me that also humans fatten more on cooked food. Of course, absolutely, there's no question about it. Every species will fatten more on cooked food. No question about that. Okay, so I think, Loren, fruit bats are said to be naturally vitamin B12 deficient and vitamin D deficient because they're nocturnal and only eat fruit, but their body functions as if they're perfectly healthy. Right. So it's not B12 deficient. They're vitamin D deficient. Was it B12? I know it's two nutrients. There's no reason they would be B12 deficient because B12 is manufactured by bacteria in the gut biome for every species, including us and fruit bats. There's no reason they would be B12 deficient. I think it may well be that they have low serum B12 because we would have low serum B12 too because we're not going to have tons of B12 circulating in the bloodstream when we're healthy. And the vitamin D question, I mean, my guess is as a nocturnal animal, their need for vitamin D is probably 0. Okay? They probably don't need vitamin D. I've briefly glanced at some of the studies on this. I'm not an expert in this, but it's true the fruit bats don't get sunlight because they're asleep during the day, and they aren't eating foods that contain vitamin D. There's not really much vitamin D available from a natural diet, and yet they seem to be they are perfectly healthy and perfectly fine. And so it's not that they're deficient. It's that science doesn't understand how they're getting their needs met. And those are two very different things. Okay? Saying that they're deficient because they're not getting sunlight, that's not true. It may well be that they're not seeing this particular hormone in their body because maybe their body has some other way of compensating for the lack of sunlight. Okay? That's my guess. So I'm just about out of time here. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to be with you. I will keep you posted. I guess, on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm not recording today. I'm having trouble with my phone connecting to Instagram, so I didn't even try recording today. But Again, if this is, if you've enjoyed this and this is valuable, please give it a thumbs up. You can do that right here. You can also share this on your pages and channels. That would be appreciated. If you haven't made a contribution but would like to, you can go to Patreon to do that. And again, remember, there is still a little bit of time left to save 20%. If you're planning to fast with me here, to save 10%. If you want to fast with me via Skype, just write to me. And lots more good stuff coming. I see your message. Gemma, you are very welcome. It's such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure to talk with you and connect with you. I'm glad to see you here. And I'm grateful for you and for everyone else here. So I'll look forward to seeing you all same time next week. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everybody.